Chapter 14, Ada Mason's Story.
Please support by subscribing for more classic audiobooks.
I cannot repeat to you often enough, Monsieur, our horror, our consternation, and the deep sympathy we feel for you.
Thus Monsieur Courage, the juge d'instruction, addressed Van Aldine. Monsieur Cox, the commissary, made sympathetic noises in his throat. Van Aldine brushed away horror, consternation, and sympathy with an abrupt gesture. The scene was the examining magistrate's room at Nice. Besides Monsieur Courage, the commissary, and Van Aldine, there was a further person in the room. It was that person who now spoke.
Monsieur Van Aldine.
He said.
Desires action, swift action.
Ah!
Cried the commissary.
I have not yet presented you. Monsieur Van Aldine, this is Monsieur Hercule Poirot. You have doubtless heard of him. Although he has retired from his profession for some years now, his name is still a household word as one of the greatest living detectives.
Pleased to meet you, Monsieur Poirot,
said Van Aldine, falling back mechanically on a formula that he had discarded some years ago.
You have retired from your profession?
That is so, monsieur. Now I enjoy the world.
The little man made a grandiloquent gesture.
Monsieur Poirot happened to be traveling on the blue train,
explained the commissary.
And he has been so kind as to assist us out of his vast experience.
The millionaire looked at Poirot keenly. Then he said unexpectedly,
I'm a very rich man, Monsieur Poirot. It is usually said that a rich man labors under the belief that he can buy everything and everyone. That is not true. I am a big man in my way, and one big man can ask a favor from another big man.
Poirot nodded a quick appreciation.
That is very well said, Monsieur Van Aldine. I place myself entirely at your service.
Thank you,
said Van Aldine.
I can only say call upon me at any time, and you will not find me ungrateful. And now, gentlemen, to business.
I propose,
said Monsieur Courage,
to interrogate the maid, Ada Mason. You have her here, I understand?
Yes,
said Van Aldine.
We picked her up in Paris in passing through. She was very upset to hear of her mistress's death, but she tells her story coherently enough.
We will have her in, then,
said Monsieur Courage. He rang the bell on his desk, and in a few minutes Ada Mason entered the room. She was very neatly dressed in black, and the tip of her nose was red. She had exchanged her gray traveling gloves for a pair of black suede ones. She cast a look round the examining magistrate's office in some trepidation, and seemed relieved at the presence of her mistress's father. The examining magistrate prided himself on his geniality of manner, and did his best to put her at her ease. He was helped in this by Poirot, who acted as interpreter, and whose friendly manner was reassuring to the Englishwoman.
Your name is Ada Mason, is that right?
Ada Beatrice I was christened, sir,
said Mason primly.
Just so and we can understand, Mason, that this has all been very distressing.
Oh, indeed it has, sir. I have been with many ladies and always given satisfaction, I hope, and I never dreamt of anything of this kind happening in any situation where I was.
No,
said Monsieur Courage.
Naturally, I have read of such things, of course, in the Sunday papers. And then I always have understood that those foreign trains.
She suddenly checked her flow, remembering that the gentlemen who were speaking to her were of the same nationality as the trains.
Now let us talk this affair over,
said Monsieur Courage.
There was, I understand, no question of your staying in Paris when you started from London.
Oh no, sir. We were to go straight through to Nice.
Have you ever been abroad with your mistress before?
No, sir. I had only been with her 2 months, you see.
Did she seem quite as usual when starting on this journey?
She was worried-like and a bit upset, and she was rather irritable and difficult to please.
Monsieur Courage nodded.
Now then, Mason, what was the first you heard of your stopping in Paris?
It was at the place they call the Gare de Lyon, sir. My mistress was thinking of getting out and walking up and down the platform. She was just going out into the corridor when she gave a sudden exclamation and came back into her compartment with a gentleman. She shut the door between her carriage and mine, so that I didn't see or hear anything, till she suddenly opened it again and told me that she had changed her plans. She gave me some money and told me to get out and go to the Ritz. They knew her well there, she said, and would give me a room. I was to wait there until I heard from her. She would wire me what she wanted me to do. I had just time to get my things together and jump out of the train before it started off. It was a rush.
While Merce Kettering was telling you this, where was the gentleman?
He was standing in the other compartment, sir, looking out of the window.
Can you describe him to us?
Well, you see, sir, I hardly saw him. He had his back to me most of the time. He was a tall gentleman and dark, that's all I can say. He was dressed very like another gentleman in a dark blue overcoat and a grey hat.
Was he one of the passengers on the train?
I don't think so, sir. I took it that he had come to the station to see Mrs. Kettering in passing through. Of course he might have been one of the passengers. I never thought of that.
Mason seemed a little flurried by the suggestion. Monsieur Courage passed lightly to another subject.
Your mistress later requested the conductor not to rouse her early in the morning. Was that a likely thing for her to do, do you think?
Oh yes, sir. The mistress never ate any breakfast and she didn't sleep well at nights, so that she liked sleeping on in the morning.
Again Monsieur Courage passed to another subject.
Amongst the luggage there was a scarlet morocco case, was there not?
He asked.
Your mistress' jewel case.
Yes, sir.
Did you take that case to the Ritz?
Me take the mistress's jewel case to the Ritz? Oh no, indeed, sir.
Mason's tones were horrified.
You left it behind you in the carriage.
Yes, sir.
Had your mistress many jewels with her, do you know?
A fair amount, sir. Made me a bit uneasy sometimes, I can tell you, with those nasty tales you hear of being robbed in foreign countries. They were insured, I know, but all the same it seemed a frightful risk. Why, the rubies alone, the mistress told me, were worth several £100,000.
The rubies? What rubies?
Barked Van Aldine suddenly. Mason turned to him.
I think it was you who gave them to her, sir, not very long ago.
My God.
Cried Van Aldine.
You don't say she had those rubies with her? I told her to leave them at the bank.
Mason gave once more the discreet cough which was apparently part of her stock in trade as a lady's maid. This time it expressed a good deal. It expressed far more clearly than words could have done that Mason's mistress had been a lady who took her own way.
Ruth must have been mad.
Muttered Van Aldine.
What on earth could have possessed her?
Monsieur Courage in turn gave vent to a cough, again a cough of significance. It riveted Van Aldine's attention on him.
For the moment,
said Monsieur Courage, addressing Mason.
I think that is all. If you will go into the next room, Mademoiselle, they will read over to you the questions and answers, and you will sign accordingly.
Mason went out escorted by the clerk, and Van Aldine said immediately to the magistrate.
Well?
Monsieur Courage opened a drawer in his desk, took out a letter, and handed it across to Van Aldine.
This was found in Madame's handbag.
Cher Amy, the letter ran. I will obey you, I will be prudent, discreet, all those things that a lover most hates. Paris would perhaps have been unwise, but the Isles d'Or are far away from the world, and you may be assured that nothing will leak out. It is like you and your divine sympathy to be so interested in the work on famous jewels that I am writing. It will, indeed, be an extraordinary privilege to actually see and handle these historic rubies. I am devoting a special passage to Heart of Fire. My wonderful one! Soon I will make up to you for all those sad years of separation and emptiness. Your ever adoring Armand.
If you enjoy audiobooks like this, consider subscribing for more.